Comment down below where you're watching from and like and subscribe if you hate Karens. Alright, so I am a 42-year-old black man, name's David Johnson. Husband to a wonderful woman named Tamara, and owner of a modest, but comfortable farm just outside of this rapidly expanding suburb. Population, mostly white, mostly yuppie. Nice enough people, generally, but the type that get real territorial about their manicured lawns and matching mailboxes. Now, my family has owned this land for generations. My great-grandpappy, Elijah, bought it back in the 1920s. He worked his tail off, poured everything he had into it, and passed it down. It's not just property to me, it's legacy. About 2 years ago, a developer came sniffing around, wanting to buy my land to build more of those soulless cookie-cutter houses. I politely declined. Repeatedly. They kept upping the offer, but I wasn't budging. This land wasn't for sale at any price. Enter Karen. Or, as I've come to think of her, Super Karen. Her real name is Patricia Miller, but Karen fits so well. She was the head of the Willow Creek HOA, and she was determined to make this happen. I mean possessed. Patricia started with veiled threats masked as community concerns, traffic, property values, the dreaded aesthetics. She suggested my farm was a blight on the neighborhood, a rustic eyesore that was preventing Willow Creek from reaching its full potential. She even had the audacity to say, right to my face, "Don't you think you'd be happier with a nice retirement check, Mr. Johnson? Let us handle the improvements." Now, I'm a pretty laid-back guy, but that comment? That lit a fire. The turning point was when they started construction. One day, I woke up to the sound of bulldozers on my land. I rushed out there, heart pounding, and there it was, a whole crew, tearing up my north pasture. Patricia was there, too, arms crossed, a smug look on her face. "We tried to be reasonable, Mr. Johnson," she said, like she was doing me a favor. "But the community has spoken. Progress waits for no one." I was furious, but I kept my cool. I knew yelling wouldn't do anything. I asked her, very politely, if she was aware that she was trespassing on private property. She scoffed, waving a document in my face. "We have an easement," she declared, "for utilities and road access. You should have disclosed this, Mr. Johnson. This allows us to construct a road through a portion of your land." Now, here's the kicker. She was right about the easement. But here's what she was wrong about. My great-grandpappy, Elijah, was no fool. He knew these things might happen. So, when he drew up the easement agreement back in the day, he added a clause with the help of his lawyer. The easement was granted specifically for utilities and road access, but with one crucial condition: any construction on the easement area required my explicit written consent. And if that consent was not granted, the easement would become null and void. It was a little-known, dusty clause that had been buried in county records for decades. I had just rediscovered it a few years back while doing some family history research. I had a feeling it would come in handy someday. Patricia and her developer didn't bother to get my written explicit consent. They just took my land. This is where the pro-revenge kicks in. I calmly informed Patricia of the clause. Her face went from smug to white as a sheet. She sputtered, argued, threatened lawsuits. I just smiled and told her to have a nice day. I immediately contacted my lawyer, the amazing Ms. Davis. We filed a temporary restraining order to halt construction and started preparing a lawsuit for trespassing, property damage, and a whole host of other violations. The next few weeks were insane. The HOA tried every trick in the book. They sent me violation notices for things like having excessive weeds, it's a farm, and unapproved livestock, chickens. They even tried to get the county to condemn my property, claiming it was a public nuisance. But Ms. Davis was a shark. She shut down every attempt they made. Then came the hammer blow. The judge ruled in my favor. The easement was declared null and void. The HOA and the developer were ordered to cease all construction immediately and were liable for all damages to my property. Here's where it gets really good. Those 96 houses they built? Almost all of them were using the road and utilities that ran through my now legally reclaimed easement. Without that, they were effectively landlocked and without essential services. Ms. Davis and I, ever so politely, sent letters to each homeowner. We informed them of the situation, that the road and utilities were illegally constructed on my property, and that they were trespassing every time they used them. Then, we offered them a solution. I offered to lease the land back to the HOA for a hefty price, which was 10 times more than they had offered me for the land. And if they didn't agree? Well, I'd have to legally block access to the road and shut off the utilities. Chaos ensued. The homeowners went ballistic. They descended on Patricia like a pack of wolves. Turns out, she hadn't bothered to inform them about the easement dispute, let alone the clause. They had bought their dream homes only to find out they were built on a legal time bomb. The HOA imploded. Patricia was ousted as president within 48 hours. The developer, facing massive lawsuits from the homeowners, went bankrupt. And Patricia? She ended up getting fired from her job because of the negative publicity. It was beautiful. But here's the twist, the part you guys probably weren't expecting. I never actually wanted to shut off the utilities or block the road. I'm not a monster. I just wanted to teach them a lesson. So, after a month of absolute pandemonium, I sent another letter to the homeowners. I offered to donate the easement land to the community, free and clear, with one condition: they had to agree to dissolve the HOA. They voted unanimously to dissolve it. The look on Patricia's face when she heard the news? Priceless. She lost her power, her job, and her precious HOA, all because she tried to bulldoze over a black man and his family's legacy. But the real kicker? The karma that really shocked me? A few weeks ago, I got a call from a local homeless shelter. They had a new resident who needed a place to stay. Turns out, after losing her job and facing a mountain of legal fees, Patricia had lost everything. Her house had been foreclosed on, and she was living on the streets. The shelter asked if I could possibly offer some temporary work around the farm. Chores, repairs, that sort of thing. I thought about it for a long time. I thought about my great-grandpappy, Elijah, and what he would do. I thought about the kind of man I wanted to be. So I hired her. Not because I wanted to rub it in her face. Not because I wanted to gloat. But because everyone deserves a second chance. Patricia is working hard. She's humbled, ashamed, and surprisingly grateful. We don't talk much about the past. I just give her the tasks, and she does them. Maybe, just maybe, this whole ordeal will teach her something about respect, empathy, and the importance of reading the fine print. And maybe, just maybe, it will teach everyone else to think twice before they mess with a black man and his land. TLDR, HOA Karen tried to steal my family's land to build houses. I used a forgotten easement clause to turn the tables, destroy the HOA, and in a twist of fate end up giving her a job when she becomes homeless. What do you guys think? Was I too lenient? Should I have blocked the road and shut off the utilities? Let me know in the comments.